Welcome to the power of courage. One of the major factors that prevents people from achieving their personal goals is fear. Fear can stop even the most talented and knowledgeable people dead in their tracks. If you're controlled by fear, then you are admitting fear controls your life. But the exciting news for you is that once you take fear away or reduce it, enormous power is released. What exactly is fear? It's just an illusion. In other words, fear is not something external that controls you. It's created by your thinking. It's born and grows in your mind. There are certainly times when it may feel very real, but it's just an illusion. Simply put, fear is when you picture an unfortunate ending to an action or you anticipate a poor outcome. But none of that is real. It is just imagined. The mind usually can't tell the difference between something that really happened versus something that was vividly imagined. For example, imagine that I hold in my hand a fresh picked, juicy lemon. I take a sharp knife out and I carefully slice this lemon right down the middle. As I cut it, you can already smell the lemon juice. Now, I take half of this lemon, and as you open your mouth and tip your head back, I squeeze the sour juice right onto your tongue. Now, if you've ever had a lemon in your life, you can probably almost taste it right now. Your mouth may even be salivating a little. That's because the memories you have are creating feelings right now. The mind is such a powerful tool. When you step outside of your comfort zone, you might experience feelings of anxiety, nervousness, or fear. Those feelings are just a product of your mind as it tries to anticipate what may happen next using negative thoughts. Again, I tell you that fear is just an illusion. It's a reflection of your state of mind. So the exciting news is that you can instantly eliminate fear from your life. People do it all the time.
For 17 years, I've had the opportunity to work with distributors around the world. It doesn't matter, Asia, Australasia, Europe, the Americas, doesn't matter where they've been. And every single distributor has something in common. And that is when they start this business, there's a level of fear there. It's just part of the business. The way I've seen people overcome this fear is by attacking it straight on.
Sometimes people deep inside to them, they don't believe it, or they have a fear to achieve the results, so they keep away from it. I remember I read a book called The Fear of Freedom. People are so many freedom today, but sometimes if you don't have you have so many freedom, you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to deal with it.
Fear is when people don't believe they can succeed at something, when people think they're going to fail.
恐怖は怖いです。怖いです。とにかく怖いです。だけど、まあ誰でもやっぱり怖いと思うんですね。それなんでかって言ったらやっぱり未知のゾーンやし、未体験なゾーンやし。でも怖いって思うからこそ怖いんであって、怖いと思わなかったら怖くない。その時にじゃあなんで怖いかって思うと、結局ねすごく結果を考えすぎる。大きな目標に向かってこのビジネスをやっていくんだけど、その目標を考えすぎるがあまり、目標が遠すぎるがあまりにそれができるかなどうかな。でまたこれで一番ダメなことは、怖い怖いと思ったらその心がそういうふうにずっと、なんていうかな、僕の好きな言葉で人生思い通りというね言葉があるんですけども、思ったことが世の中に起こると。怖いって思ってたら怖いことが起こるし、楽しいと思ったら楽しいことが起こるし、だからそういうふうにしてどっちみちやらないとダメなわけやから、だからもうとにかく行こう、進むのみって感じかな。そうやって僕は克服してきましたかね。
Well, fear is just an illusion. That's the hardest part for people to understand. It's an illusion. It's false expectations appearing real.
I don't know very many people who aren't, heavy laden with fear, some sort. Just fear of failure alone is a tough deal in our business. I don't like public speaking, for example. Who would have thunk it?
I'm actually kind of a fearful person myself. When I was a sophomore in high school, I was 4'11" and weighed about 85 pounds. I was the smallest kid who ever tried out for a wrestling team. I sat so far down on one end of the bench that I couldn't see the other end of the bench. And so, I've kind of walked through life knowing that I was a little bit, or expecting that I was a little bit fragile.
Probably one of the most frightening things for me in my life is that I have to stand in front of crowds of 10 and 20 and 30,000 people and somehow convey to them what's in my heart and what's in my mind, and do it in a cogent and hopefully intelligent and funny fashion that they remember. It's pretty intimidating to go to our conventions around the world and stand in front of these people who are, many of whom are very, very good presenters. And yet I'm the one as the company CEO who has to stand in front of them and present.
I would say we all have our fears. We all sort of come to this earth with this little, I'm afraid of heights, I'm afraid of speaking in public. And it's really our responsibility to overcome those things, to become a better individual. And as soon as, have you ever, let's say you were afraid to go on a roller coaster, you were terrified of the roller coaster, and then you went on it and you thought, well, what's the big deal about that? That usually happens with things that we're afraid of. If we just take the giant leap of faith, the giant belief that we can do it, no matter what, because other people have done it, why can't we do
Es
it?
ist 20 Uhr.
And then just do it.
There shouldn't be a fear. The biggest fear in my mind, the biggest holdback, is a fear of failure. People don't want to do things because they have a fear of failure. Well, frankly, I fail every day. I fail because I forget to take the garbage out for my wife. I forget to say thank you enough to the staff and the distributors. That's all failures. But you can't be afraid of that. You have to confront that fear, and you got to move forward. It's okay to make mistakes. That's part of life. Remove that fear of failure, and you'll start to go towards success.
Well, on the topic of fear, it's no coincidence that the occupational endeavors that yield the highest rewards are the scary ones. They're the ones that are difficult for people to do. Things that are easy for people to do, people don't pay very much to have people do those things. And so if you're stepping into an enterprise that stretches you and pushes you out of human norms, then you know that you're probably going to a place where there's a higher return on time invested than there is in other places.
So, how do you overcome fear? What is the antidote to fear? Answer: replace it with courage, with confidence. What is courage? Simply, courage is when you feel fearful or feel nervous or feel anxiety, because we all will feel that from time to time, but we take action anyway. How do you increase your level of courage? How do you increase your ability to take action despite your fears? Well, it starts with what you focus on and what you picture about that future event. Again, if you imagine the worst possible outcome, then it is likely that is what you will get. If you instead focus and dwell on a positive outcome to the future action or event, and you play that image in your mind repeatedly, that will significantly reduce the feelings of fear or anxiety. Remember, thoughts create images which create emotion. For example, I can remember the first time I received a call to speak to an audience of 15,000 people. The moment I was told 15,000 people, it triggered a picture in my mind that caused my heart to beat faster. I remember sweating at the palms from being nervous, and this event wasn't even to take place for months. Think about it this way. Have you ever watched a movie that you didn't like? I mean, really think about it. Have you ever watched a movie that you walked out of that you didn't like? I'm sure you have. The question is, if you didn't like the movie, would you go back and watch it again and again? Of course not. You would say that's absurd. But how many times do we do that inside of ourselves? We've had a bad experience, and we play that image in our mind over and over and over, and it's not healthy and it's not useful.
TJ and I have found that the 4 most common categories of fear are fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of failing, fear of what others might think. Why do we call them the most common? Because other people have the same fears as you do. But those fears should not be your excuse for letting life pass you by. I have never met a successful person who did not have fear of something at some point in their life. The only difference between the successful people and the not so successful folks is one group runs away from their fears and the other throws a saddle on it and rides it until they conquer it.
Courage isn't a lack of fear, isn't being without fear. Courage is being afraid and still doing what you should do. And having a purpose in life, having a sense that there is something that I'm about here that's worth achieving, that is worth my best efforts, will allow us to do things that fear and the hope of things, material rewards, will never allow us to do.
この世の中に全然恐怖がない人っていうのはいないと思うんですね。いろんな恐怖はあると思います。人によって違うと思いますけれども、私もこのビジネスを始めた時にやっぱり恐怖感というのがありました。このまんま頑張ってやっていかれるのかな、成功できるのかなっていうような大きな不安がありました。その中で私よりも先に成功していった方の後ろ姿を見ながら、私本当にこれでやっていかれるのかなって本当に不安がありましたけれども、でもそういう時には心を落ち着けて、あの人にもできたんだから私にもできるんだというようなこれ自分自身に言い聞かせましたね。そしてニュースキュのファミリーの人たち、アップラインの人たち、ダウンラインの人たち、サイドラインの人たちとよくコミュニケーションをとって相談したりとか励まし合ったりとか、そういうことで乗り越えてきました。でも一番の、パワーっていうのは絶対に成功したいという、幸せになりたいという、私はできるんだという確信をいつも心に持つことが一番の、素晴らしいパワーじゃないかなと思います。
Courage is being resilient. Courage is always standing up. When you're being put down by anybody, have that inside of you, that mighty heart that stands you back on your feet to see tomorrow in a better light than what happened yesterday. That's courage.
The longer you stand at the edge of a cold pool, the more torturous that seems. And then you leap in and you say, whew, man, I wish I would have jumped in an hour ago. It's really quite delightful. And for me, it's that way with my fears as well. That the sitting and thinking about them, they're certainly much larger than once you actually face them. So if you're afraid to talk to people, go start talking to people with the goal of helping them. And the more you do it, the more you see that it's nothing to be afraid of. And I'll find if I stop doing it then for a month or something, it starts to seem scary again. So the easiest way to fend off fear is to, attack it.
I think a lot of times when we look at those who have been successful, we assume that they started out successful, confident, exactly the way we see them. And the reality is, and we know this because we've spoken with our top leaders, is that they, looking back, acknowledge that they have been able to accomplish far more than they originally thought was possible. In other words, if they had looked forward and said at all the obstacles, they may have been fearful of what was ahead of them. But looking back, they realized that every time they faced an obstacle, they were able to overcome, succeed, and move forward. And so at the end of the journey, they were able to do more than they thought was originally possible by not fearing, by persevering, by sticking to it, and by overcoming.
Fears come in because you are not certain of something. But at the same time, when you realize that, the same fear was with all your uplines, all your very successful uplines, and it's not something new. you're not the first one, being exposed to that. You have a lot of people who are successful, they were all exposed to that. So it's not something uncertain. It's certain. It's certainly there.
And when you get done, the exhilarating feeling of, oh, I did it. And you might not have done it to perfection the first time, but you did it. And you had that life experience. And you move beyond a fear. And when you move beyond a fear, you have growth. And that's really how we grow.
Keep in mind that changing your focus and what you're imagining is only the first part to overcoming your fears. The second part is that those new thoughts and images of courage must be followed up with action. Even if the action is just small little steps, baby steps usually lead to big, bold steps. When you begin taking action despite your fears, you move further from captivity and closer to freedom, and that's a great direction to be headed. As a young boy, one of my chores was to pull the weeds in the garden. I hated to pull weeds. Some days I would beg and plead with my mother to let me put off pulling weeds until tomorrow. On the occasions when she would allow me to do so, I was immediately filled with emotional relief because, for the moment, I don't have to face that situation. But guess what? The next day, those weeds were still there, only they were bigger. The only thing I really gained from procrastinating my work was more work. The same truth applies to your fears. You may routinely find ways to avoid doing that which you fear most, but postponing that action is only having a negative impact on your long-term success. Avoidance never helps to overcome fear. Instead, it often creates more fear.
If you let fear stop you, even in the littlest things, then it'll start to erode. It'll erode your self-confidence. It'll stop you from taking action. It'll stop you from talking to people. And that's the one thing that you've got to do.
在做的过程里面呢，一定会有起伏。我们姑且把所谓的这种掉下来的那个心理状态称叫做恐惧好了。我来克服这个所谓的恐惧，这个方式就是说，那只有多做，只有做。哎，你停在那个地方，你就会乱想。那想了以后，当然就会有个所谓的有恐惧就出来了。哦，那你不断地去做，不断去做，真的是一直保持在动的人呢，根本没有时间去恐惧的。就算是有恐惧的话，我常常鼓励我的伙伴，其实所有的创业者呢，都是要经过这些就是所谓的恐惧好了。那这个我想都不是很大的问题，因为本来就是要经过这道手续的。只有讲到这个的话，只有这样子的话，有时候我来鼓励我的伙伴。因为有经过这些起起落落，或者叫做所谓的恐惧好了，将来你才有资格在台上呢去分享你的这个所谓的经验传承。我们所讲的就是真感情的好文章。那么，所以你何妨经过这样的一个起起落落，或者所谓的恐惧，我觉得还是一件好事情啊。
You learn that just human nature causes you to be fearful to walk through a door, not knowing what's on the other side of that door. But as you push yourself to walk through more and more doors and learn that regardless of what's on the other side of that passage, you survive and can even come to excel, then it becomes less scary to go through that door the next time. And so experience is the great defeater of fear, I think.
I met a gold medal winner once, and I said, were you ever in fear? Did you ever have doubts? And he said, every single day I had doubts. The truth of it is, every single day I had doubts. But what I did is face them and took action. And the minute I was in action, I forgot about the doubts. It's kind of like worrying. I'll take a half an hour a day, and I'll say, this is my time to worry, and I'll worry and worry and worry and worry. And when it's done, I just get into action.
And, the hard things to do are pick up the phone and talk to people. People are afraid of somebody saying no. And so you just dissect it and say, what's the worst thing that can happen? Am I still going to be alive if the person tells me no? Yeah, I'll be alive. I won't be dead. So I'll still be alive and I can talk to somebody else. And in the morning, you just got to jump in. You got to get the first no out of the way early in the day. And once you get the first no and you go, okay, I'm still alive, then it's like, boom, you can do it again. And the phone can just be picked up again and again and again. And then you're on a roll. It doesn't matter how many people tell you no, because every no means you're going to get closer based on those numbers to a yes. And that's how you have to look at it, because eventually you're going to get the yes. That's what's going to happen to you. And so you just have to condition yourself to think about that.
I would say that everyone out there is looking to have a conversation, for some friendliness, for someone that cares about them enough to share the good news that they are experiencing in their life. So don't be afraid to share it. If you're talking to, let's say, the woman at the checkout that's working Smith's grocery store, and she comments that your skin looks nice, perfect opportunity to say, yes, and I've been using these great products, and you look for opportunities to share, and they happen all the time if you're looking for them.
When I make my phone calls, I figure they got three answers. Either no, which means they're not ready, maybe, which I'll get them on the product, or yes, I will invite them. Couldn't be worse than these three answers. So when I'm ready for these three answers, I just call and get it over with because I know I have to make these calls today. Just do it.
Preparation for presentations to me is huge. You can't just stand up and wing it. And the people who do in our business wing it because they've done it 1,000 times or 2,000 times or 5,000 times. People need to prepare to really be able to overcome their fears of giving presentations and of giving business opportunity presentations in particular. But as they do, as they suck it up and as they recognize that they are prepared, I think everyone can overcome their fears.
One of the biggest things in this business that's been a problem for me is speaking. I'm just scared to death to stand up in front of people and speak. And there's something wrong with my body where if I get really hot, I'll just explode. I mean, I'm like drenched, you know, it's just dripping off my face, off my nose, trying to dab myself off with towels. And I just absolutely, I don't know if it's anxiety or nerves or whatever it is, but I'd stand up and start talking and just sweat. And then I'd sit down and do it again. Get up the next day and stand up and do it again, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. Stand up and just do it. Get in its face and scream at it. Do it over and over and over and over again. Do it till you're so sick of doing it you want to barf. Go barf and then do it some more. And that's all you got to do. And you just keep doing it. And you will become comfortable with it, more comfortable. Not probably ever totally comfortable. I'm still not totally comfortable. That's probably okay. A little bit of nervousness is okay. It kind of gives you the edge you need to be on your game so you can go out there and be productive and, you know, be sincere and present in a way that people can understand.
If people learn that pushing themselves to do things that frighten them and then surviving those things help them to go on and do other things. And so having a belief structure that while I may be afraid of something, that doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. And it certainly doesn't mean that I can't do it is an important thing.
A deep sense of satisfaction comes from taking action. Have you ever noticed the word satisfaction ends with the word action? Satis comes from the Greek root word meaning enough. So when you take enough action, it brings on satisfaction. Even if it's only a small action or small steps, when you take action, despite your fears and despite your worries, doing this will help reduce the feelings of fear over time.
Confidence comes with competency. And as one of the ways to overcome fear is to simply become better at what you do. By building competency, by becoming more familiar with the terrain that you're walking across, the fear begins to diminish. Your confidence comes up that you can talk about this subject matter, that you can ask people to do hard things because you've done it a number of times and know that you can work your way through those exercises. So building the fundamentals of competency will help you get through fear.
Courage, you got to have the courage to talk to people. You have to have the courage to make yourself better, educate yourself, read, learn what this business is all about, go to meetings. You have to have the courage to be able to get up in the morning and know that you're going to be successful.
As you tell other people's story of how they were afraid of speaking in public. But, you know, we're not going to put them up there speaking at convention to start with. They're going to speak to their own little group, their own little children that they've gone out and recruited. Now, that shouldn't be frightful if they've got them to that point, right? So then you have to ask yourself, are they looking for an excuse to fail because they're afraid of success? And I think that's really what happens in a lot of cases. People are afraid of fear of success, and they sabotage themselves because it's an unknown element.
Up to this point, we've talked about 2 steps for overcoming and replacing your fears with courage and confidence. The 3rd step is to change what you're focusing on, meaning imagine a successful outcome in advance and then replay that image over and over again. Then take the action that harmonizes with the imagined experience. For example, if one of your fears is speaking with strangers, then a small step that you could take would be to get with someone and then role play a conversation. Practice this, then go out and actually do it.
For me, I switched from viewing it as speaking to strangers who might slug me in the stomach. I've done some of that in my life. Talked to a stranger and had them treat you badly. But I switched it to, as soon as I got in this mindset that I'm about improving other people's lives, then every person that I approached, I was thinking, I can improve their life if they'll let me. And my presentation sort of took that feeling. And frankly, if I get them to smile, I feel like I've accomplished something.
I think when we're going into a stressful or an important setting and where the stakes are high and when it matters to us to succeed, we ought not to enter into that environment having not thought about it very much. Rather we should take time before going and giving that big presentation or even that little presentation and think through carefully, envision ourselves saying what we're going to say. Give that speech in the shower in the morning before you go, and then when you go, the word tracks are going to be there and the confidence is going to be there. And the more clearly we can see ourselves succeeding in trying environments, the more surely we'll succeed when we get there.
I find that, I guess it's all sort of positive mental attitude stuff, but that I can sort of get myself in a certain mindset that gets me past any fears that I have. Music is really important to me. I listen to music that I like. It's good to me, and sort of have positive thoughts. I'm able to sort of visualize a positive future in almost any circumstances, and to some degree internalize it. By this point, you have heard a lot of people, successful people, admit that they had fears and share with you how to eliminate them from your life. But now you need to take this new knowledge and act on it. If fears are nothing more than negative thoughts, then start replacing those thoughts with positive words and images. Take a moment right now to write down some of your fears, and then write down what you will replace that fear with. It's easy to do, but requires self-discipline to do it. The great news is you have the skills to do it. We all do. That's the best news of the day. Your fears can all die right here, right now. I have encouraged you to watch these videos over and over because we know that through repetition, you will grow. I practice this myself, but never has repetition been more important than right now. Your success of converting fear into courage will come much sooner if you'll replay the comments and advice contained in this video many, many times over and over. And beyond that, start talking about your newfound courage with others. The more you vocalize it, the sooner it becomes your new reality. It's an exciting transformation that will literally change your life and the lives of people around you. I'll see you real soon with the next ingredient of the success formula.
Welcome to the power of action. The number one difference between those who achieve success and those who don't is action. Because you can have all the beliefs in the world, all the skills in the world, but if you never take action, nothing will happen. Albert Ian Gray said it the best. The common denominator is that the successful are willing to do the things the unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. All inspiration must lead to action, and action requires faith.
Well, I think once you've determined where you want to go, and then sort of set your purpose and passion towards that end, then you just have to go after it.
But if you don't take action, nothing would happen. I think it's a very natural. It's not about when it's not just about taking action, but taking what action. It's about discipline.
It's not net thinking. It's not net organizing my desk. It's not net emailing. It's not net web browsing. It's not net my card filing. It's not net cleaning my office again. And people just net busy themselves right out of the business. It's networking. It's net talking to people. That's what it is. It's net recruiting. It's not net planning, thinking, hoping, wishing, dreaming. It's net doing. That's really what it is. You got to do it.
We all gravitate towards the easy things in our lives. It's the people who are willing to engage and do the hard things. Pick up the phone, make the call. Pick up the phone, call the person you don't want to call. Those are the people who realize a level of success that the average person doesn't. It's the person who's willing to go beyond thinking about the business and really do it, and do the hard things associated with it. Those are the people who succeed.
Once you've set your mind to do it, it's your responsibility to do it, because it's your dream, and it's your responsibility to fulfill your own dreams. No one else is going to do that for you. No one else is going to say, "Oh, here's your dream come true." It doesn't happen. You have to go and get it yourself, and if you want it, you've got to create it.
Time and time again, I read about people who didn't wait around for opportunities to simply show up. Instead, when all else failed, they created them. In the 1970s, Sylvester Stallone was financially broke after writing several scripts that were all rejected. But he didn't give up. He didn't resign himself to the bleak outlook that his goals as a writer were not possible. Instead, he began taking action and looking for his break. Then, one night, in 1975, he found himself inspired by watching a boxing match between Chuck Wepner and Muhammad Ali. Although the odds were greatly against Wepner, 30-1, he surprisingly withstood 15 beating rounds before being defeated by the great Muhammad Ali. Returning home that night, Stallone began writing the script that would not only change his life, but became the mega hit movie Rocky. Written in 3 days, created on a budget of $1 million, and filmed in 28 days, Rocky is one of the biggest successes in the film industry, grossing hundreds of millions of dollars.
成功者，以我来讲，成功者你就是因为你要做的事情，你的伙伴呢一直都在看，所以。在我团队里边，我一直强调一件事情，就是要所谓的一个真正的成功者，他的言行，他的一举一动呢，他都要很谨慎的，因为下线很多一直在看，以他当为一个楷模，所以呢，必须要是一个很严谨的，所以这个是我个人的认为，这个是一个非常重要的。那么特质。那么，我给他们的一个讲法是，永远保持动的状态，就所谓的像我个人的一个人生哲理那么就7个字：动到不能动为止，就是一直保持动，一直保持动，一直保持动。因为所带领的团队或者下线的，他们所看到的，我的这个上线的，他一直在动着，一直在动着，一直在动着，那么很自然的呢。他们就会一直跟随，一直上来的，这个是一个非常非常重要的一个观念。
I would say that this business provides you with an open door. but it's up to you to walk through it. Because you see, this business will work for you if you work for it.
You have to realize that this is a great business. You are involved in a tremendous business, one that can bring you great results. But you have to take action, and you must not give up. Once you've decided what your goal is, you just have to pursue it relentlessly without giving up, or without even the thought of giving up. You just have to keep working until you get there.
夢、目標、これ立てることはすごく大事ですよね。ただですね、3つの過ぎずっていうのをね、私もね、とても大切にしてます。一つは高すぎず、一つは遠すぎず、一つは多すぎず。この高すぎず、遠すぎず、多すぎずっていうものを、気にしながら夢と目標を立てます。で、その夢と目標を立てるときは、どうしてその夢と目標を実現したいのか、本当になぜそれをやっていきたいのか、自分と向き合うんですよね。そこがすごくしっかりしてると、本当にどうしても成功したい夢、目標が立てられて、実行可能な計画を立てられて、そして楽しんでやる実践っていうのをね、やることができます。最後は PDCA ですよね。プラン、ドゥ、チェック、アクションっていうね、3ヶ月とか1ヶ月とか、毎週とか、そういうスパンでいつもですね、サイクルを持って自分の計画を見直して、いつもやり直していく。やり直すことに、または計画をし直すこと、作り直すことに、どんどんね、恥ずかしがらずに勇気を持ってください。はい。そしていつも自分のね、計画とか目標にピタッと合うね、すごく馴染んだ、そういった目標の持ち方とか計画の立て方をね、作ることがね、必ずできるようになるんですね。それまでぜひ頑張ってください。
The person that wins in this business is the person that gives everything they have every single day to make a difference in people's lives. The people that sit back and think, oh, maybe I'll talk to somebody or maybe I won't. I need to watch a little TV, maybe watch the news, watch a little Seinfeld. They're the people that generally don't find the success that the people that are constantly putting their best foot forward.
There's a characteristic that defines a successful distributor, and it's productivity. And I don't care whether you're in this business or whether you're in a traditional business, the people who rise to the top are the people who are productive. And it really is a critical component in this business that, that you be in action all the time.
Taking action requires a big belief in yourself and in your dreams. Once you have a belief, then you must act. Howard Schultz, founder of Starbucks Coffee Company, says, "What distinguishes the talented person who makes it from the person who has even more talent but doesn't get ahead? Part of what constitutes success is timing and chance, but most of us have to create our own opportunities and be prepared to jump when we see the big ones that others don't see." Even in the face of setbacks and critics who said his idea for coffee shops would never work, he never let that stop him from achieving success. He just kept acting, and when he didn't get the result he wanted, then he tried a different approach. But most importantly, he held on to the vision of what he wanted, and he literally believed he could turn that idea into reality.
Belief is a necessary part of succeeding in anything. You need to understand the construct you're going after, and then you've got to believe in it enough to motivate forward action. The moral doctrine is out there in almost every culture that faith without works is dead. Just believing isn't enough all by itself. You have got to get out of the house and go out there and do things consistent with those beliefs, or else one will never be successful.
Because you don't accomplish anything until they see it themselves, because they still can't take action with a lecture.
I think when people come into the business, they really need to know what do they want in life. For me, what happened is in the beginning, we were building a house. And I know I wanted to move into that house so bad, I was willing to do anything extra to make extra money to make our ends meet. So when I was introduced to Nu Skin by chance, I thought, oh, the person who introduced me in the business is making $2,400. And my brain clicked. I said, okay, I can't do it immediately to make $2,400 a month, but give me 1 year. If the second year I can make $2,400 a month, that is $30,000 extra part-time business, plus my original salary of $54,000, that makes $30,000 extra. I can do that. If I do that, the house is mine.
Many people don't take action because they're not certain what the end result will be. And it's in this place of the unknown that we begin to doubt. We think, what if I fail? What if I lose face? What if I embarrass myself? What will my family and friends think? And we think, what if? What if? What if? It's been said that the biggest misuse of our imagination is worry. And so to reduce the feelings of worry, fear, uncertainty, or anxiety, we decide not to take action at all. But remember what Price Pritchett said, if you're gonna doubt anything, doubt your limits.
When I very first started into Nu Skin, I had a lot of dream stealers. We had 1,000,001 people tell us that this company would never work, that you could buy skincare in a gas station, that you're not going to be successful. And if I had listened to them, and Blake had listened to them, and we'd listened to them on the same day, Nu Skin wouldn't have been here because we would have quit. My favorite, I should say, saying is, our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Shakespeare said it. And once you've set your mind to do something, you've sort of gotten beyond the fear of attempt. But then you need to get rid of those doubts, because those doubts will just mess with your mind. So don't let dream stealers, naysayers, and doubts change your course. Make sure that you just stay focused on what you want to do. Set your mind and your heart to what you want to do, and then just do it.
Some people choose not to take action because they say they're content with their current situation. But upon closer inspection, we almost always find someone who just doesn't want to step out of their comfort zone, even if life outside their comfort zone would be all they ever dreamed of and more. They're just coasting. And remember, coasting usually means you are heading downhill.
Entropy is a law of physics that basically says that nature tends towards chaos. And it takes energy to not degrade and go with the flow and end up at a low place rather than a high place. It takes energy to turn that natural tendency around and go forward. And so the success that people achieve in this life sometimes is simply a measure of how much energy they're willing to apply to bringing excellence to their life as opposed to letting gravity simply carry them down to mediocrity where everybody else is, and do the minimum that's required of them.
Some people don't take action because of perception of inadequate resources. Many think, well, I don't have the education, the money, the skills, the talents. They think, I don't have what he or she has. However, when you study high achievers, you realize many of them didn't have the education, talent, resources, or any other special advantages. Oprah came from a dysfunctional and abusive childhood. Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was 4 years old. Thomas Edison only had 3 months of a formal education. William Lear, the creator of Learjet Corporation, dropped out of school in the 6th grade. Yet each of these achievers have gone on to become great successes. Bottom line is, they took what resources they did have, even if it was small amounts of time or small amounts of money, and they made the best of it.
We do have time to pursue the business. It's a question of being disciplined enough to really recognize opportunities of time to pursue the business, to recognize that we do have time in the car to make some phone calls, that we do have time to be on the internet at night returning email messages or preparing presentations.
Anyone who knows me will tell you that one of my personal pet peeves is people who are late everywhere they go. It doesn't matter how close or how far they live from their next appointment, they will be late. What is the flaw in their mindset that causes them to be chronically late? They don't start soon enough. They wrongly assume that they have plenty of time, or they underestimate the time it will take to make the journey.
You know, we live only in the now, in the present. The future hopes that we have, our past memories that we have, are only relevant to the success we have in life to the extent that they inform the decisions that we make right now. Our whole life spins on this needle-thin fulcrum that we make decisions on right now. Nobody was ever successful because of something they're going to do tomorrow. And successful people have become successful because of decisions that they made always right in the here and now. And so as we're trying to change our lives and we're trying to get to higher ground and do more things, it's critical that we realize that it's all about right now. It's not about what we think we're going to do, what we want to do at some future time. It's what we're going to do right now. And when we master the moment, when we master ourselves so that right now we find the stamina to keep working when we want to quit. Right now we find the courage to go on when we're afraid. Right now we find the goodness and the morality to do the right thing when all the pressures are to do something wrong. That's what will define a great life. And ultimately, that's what's going to lead us to be successful.
The same is true in business. One of the greatest mistakes some people make when planning out their journey towards success is they procrastinate taking action. They don't have any sense of urgency. In the off chance that you might be someone who struggles with taking action, let me draw your attention to a couple of important facts. First of all, there is a ticking clock in life, and success is a race. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but it is a race. The dream life you desire is truly out there, but there are others wanting that same life and are headed in the same direction as you are. If you don't get up and go after your dream life, don't worry. Someone else will get there, and they'll live it for you. Now, if that's not okay with you, then stand up and take action today.
It is nice to have great thoughts, but if you just sit there and contemplate and analyze and think about it, you won't get anywhere. You must take action. Without action, you cannot expect any results.
Be productive. I hate to waste things or waste time. There's not enough time in this life. I feel like I'm in a race all the time, you know?
Another reason people don't take action is because they don't have a plan. How do you expect to get where you want to go without a plan? Many wake up each day wondering what to do next. Can you imagine how much time and energy goes wasted with this strategy? You've got to give your mind direction. You must have a strategy in place, drawing upon the best practices of others who are successful, and then have a clear expectation of when your goals will be accomplished.
It's really fun to plan what you're going to do. Everybody's a heroic planner. And in the very beginning of this business, my sister was going to do all the sales stuff because that was not my thing. I was going to do the business stuff because I was a business finance graduate. And so I went and bought a Wall Street Journal and set it on my desk and wrote out some plans. And that was fun. That was great. And nothing happened, of course. I'm a big believer in planning, but that's got to be a small portion of your time. You just have to leap in and start doing it, because that's when you start sorting out what works for me, what fits with my personality, what fits with my values, what fits with my vision of the future and lifestyle that I want to have. You can't really just sit and do it alone in a room and figure out how to accomplish all that. You have to go and start doing it and then adjust and say, ooh, that's not working. That made my nose bleed. I'm going to switch and do it a little bit this way. I'm going to switch and do it. So the most important element of our business always has been work. When we get people who are willing to work harder than other people, they have a lot more success than other people, because there's a plan in place that they can follow, that they can have confidence in, they can trust, so they can just throw themselves at it and work, and amazing magic things happen. But if they're only willing to work at it a little bit, their dreams are not going to come true.
I realize a lot of people like to make plans, great plans, think in their heads what they're gonna do down the road, you know. But if you just sit there and contemplate and analyze and criticize and think, without action, you get nowhere. Just think, you know, how can you expect results if you sit there? So action is a critical piece. You must take action. It is good to plan. I'm not saying they shouldn't plan, but planning without action is an exercise in futility.
And then you match with our business model, and then therefore, you know, how much, you know, commissions you need to earn so that we can achieve that, right? And then commissions will not come until you build a network. And then therefore, you know, how big a network do you need to build? And the network will not come until you really start talking to people. So how many people that I need to talk to every day, okay? And before you can talk to anyone, you need to invite people. So how many calls do I need to make? You know, so you break down from the very big thing into very, very, you know, very small thing that you must deliver on a daily basis.
When you develop a plan, here are a few steps to consider. Identify the goal in detail. Know why you want it. Identify potential obstacles. Determine the solutions to those obstacles. And based on those solutions, choose what action steps you will take within the next 2 days to move closer to achieving your goal.
You know, for me, the simple task of creating a to-do list and prioritizing the things on that to-do list help me stay disciplined on a daily basis. In those days where I am even too distracted at the beginning of my day to really even chart out the things that are most important that day that I have to do that day, those days are wasted. And you'll find yourself, I find myself at the end of the day, just feeling like I didn't use my time effectively. So for me, I have a dramatic improvement in productivity when I simply take 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, or even better, at the end of the day before, to plot out the most important things that I have to do the next day. And simply checking those things off on a daily basis improves my productivity dramatically.
これはもう普段自分の行動パターンにあるんですけども、最初はもうとても自分の今の現状からは手の届かないような大きな目標であっても、常日頃常にそのプラス思考で物事を捉えていたら、それが一歩一歩だんだんその手の届く範囲まで近づいていきます。ですから基本的にはもう強力なプラス思考で全てのことに臨んでいくということが重要だと思います。
We were goal setters right from the get-go, and a lot of people didn't think we were going to make it because both of us were so strong-willed. But you know, with goals in mind, there's something to really strive for. It's a passage that you go through, and there are passages all through life that you go through and accomplish. And when one goal is set and you meet it, you make more goals.
We get asked what are the fundamentals of the Nu Skin business. I suppose that these are the fundamentals of every business. The big question that a Nu Skin distributor tends to have is, what do I need to do next? You know, what should I be doing right now? Most of the energy that we use that we expend in trying to move our Nu Skin businesses forward is wringing our hands wondering what we should be doing. And so the sooner we can come up with a to-do list, you know, these are the things that I need to be doing. The next time I've got an hour to devote to the business, here are my priorities. I need to accomplish these several things, is huge, because it keeps us from being paralyzed by that indecision and that uncertainty about what I should be doing. That's true of any enterprise we go into. It's what do you want, and what do I need to do right now to move me closer to that objective?
I love the word in our mission statement, force. It's a principle of physics. It has to do with mass times acceleration. In my mind, those who want to be a true force, they may have a unique talent in order to take action and be successful, but even when they don't, their ability to attack whatever goal it is that they have. In other words, accelerate towards the obstacle is what allows them to overcome it. The more quickly you accelerate towards your obstacle, the greater the force you have, the easier it is to overcome.
For some people, the obstacle that prevents them from achieving true success is not a lack of action. It's a lack of focus. Too much action in too many places. Let me give you just a little test to see if you're one of those people that sees opportunity everywhere. You ever been to a theme park? Big parking lot? You know, most people, they get to the park, they sit in line, they pay to park. They might be a little grumbly that it costs $7 or $8 or $10 to park their car, but they pay, they park, and they get in, and they go have fun. Are you one of those people that as you go through the parking lot, you start thinking to yourself, wait a minute, $7 to park per car? How many cars are in this place? I wonder how much money this place makes in parking in one day. I wonder how much that would be in a week. If this hits close to home to you, if you've had this conversation in your own mind or with somebody with you in a car, you have what we like to call the entrepreneurial curse. You know, this entrepreneurial curse, it's like a pair of glasses. Some people are blessed with these special glasses in their mind that allow them to see opportunity where others just don't see it. In fact, those special glasses are probably what led you to this point. You learned about Nu Skin, you recognized it as a great opportunity for you and your family, and you took action. Way to go. But if you don't remove those magic glasses now and focus on the opportunity at hand, you will quickly be swept away in a dizzying flood of distractions that you just can't resist. We all know someone who spends their entire life like a pinball, bouncing constantly from one opportunity to another, never really committing to anything. Always convinced there's something easier, faster, better just around the corner. It's because they didn't have the self-discipline to remove their opportunity glasses. They put those little glasses on and they think they're headed in the right direction, and then out of nowhere off to the left, they see something, they go, wait a minute, maybe that's a great opportunity. And while they're going, yeah, that's the right opportunity, then suddenly something over on the right side, and they're like, wait a minute, maybe it's that one. And they spend their whole life looking around at all these great opportunities, and they never stop and focus on one opportunity. On and on it goes. You saw opportunity here, you took action to get this far. Now continue to take focused, disciplined action in a forward and straight line. Success is straight ahead.
I've seen lots and lots of people come through the business who have all the talent in the world and who would be great at this. But a month into it, they're distracted and off they go to the next thing because it's just more fun. But there can be no success, you know, unless you can manage to start an internet company and sell it 6 months later to Google. It seems to me like everything else on earth requires the ability to just stay on track consistently, working, making your entrepreneurial endeavor come true.
What I say is, if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. I really feel that a lot of people, they do a lot of busy work, but they don't do productive work.
And being a leader, it is very important. If you're not focused, your distraction will be not only be duplicated but also be multiplied. So if you want your organization to be very much focused, with what they will be doing, you need to be 200%, 300% more focused than they are. And it's only when a leader can be so much focused, the organization can be focused as well.
I have to say in the beginning, I really did not know what focus is all about. But as I attend different Nu Skin meetings, I remember I heard a story about when racehorse, when they're on the racetrack, they have blinders on and they only see the front. So they don't get distracted to what's happening on the side. And I think that's exactly what happened to me. I knew I wanted to become an executive. I wanted to make $2,400 a month. That is what I wanted. Whatever I need to do, I need to reach that. And I did not worry about any other things happening. I remember close to 1 year into business, there are other people that come in and say, oh, Marguerite, Oh, you're doing network marketing. I have this other great network marketing company. You got to come and take a look. It could make money, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. And I says, I have a regular job. I have 2 kids. I have family. I have a husband. And I'm doing Nu Skin as a part-time. I don't want to do 2 or 3 network marketing to, people call it diverse yourself. I call it, it'll dilute myself. So I figure, okay, I'm just going to do Nu Skin. I'm going to do one. I told them, between you and I, whichever one hit $10,000 first, we come back to each other. And then we'll discuss at that time what's going on. Naturally, all these people never came back to me, and I reached my $10,000 a month in 2 years.
You know, so the power of focus is so absolutely critical in our business. I've heard one of our leaders, one of our team elite leaders, who says you have to have a laser focus to succeed in this business. One of the biggest distractions is TV. Now, why? Why is TV a distraction? Well, because it's a whole lot easier to sit in front of your TV than it is to go out and talk to somebody about network marketing. It's a whole lot easier to organize your tax papers on a monthly basis than it is to go out and talk to somebody about this business. And ultimately, that will lead to the distributor's demise in this business. They will fail, and it's categorical. You will fail if you lose your focus on the fundamentals of this business.
Actually, a lot of people work very hard. And they also actually try very hard and give the best. They thought they give the best. But again, focus. Where is the focus? Are you focused on the several things that you identify that would lead to your success, or identify by your upline, from their past experiences, the several things that you need to really focus on and work on it? If you're putting your best effort into the wrong thing, you will end up with a wrong result.
I think the action is very important, but of course, you're just running around like a chicken with a head. That doesn't do any good for you. So you have to thinking through it and really have a clarity and the focus to achieve the results.
Focus, of course, is necessary to be successful in anything. We all have limited bandwidth, some of us more limited than others. I know that better than most. When we decide on a horse that we're going to ride, we need to give that horse the attention that it needs to get to the end of the journey. If we're constantly getting off and trying out other horses, we find ourselves at the end of the day having worked real hard, but we're still in the corral.
I go back again to my grandmother, because anytime any person goes into too much thinking, remember the little saying, too much analysis causes paralysis? My grandmother understood that very well. And she always said that if you were not in action, you allowed your mind to take over you. And I, as an 8-year-old one time, or 9-year-old, I don't remember, I had a tantrum. And I was crying, and I had all these bad emotions going on. And my grandmother, she hardly even spoke to me. She grabbed me by the arm, took me into the garage, put me on the bicycle, and she said, go for a ride. And I will tell you, after I was in action for about half a block, there were no tears coming out of my eyes. And I believe you cannot cry while you're riding a bicycle. So, if you start just thinking, fine, think for a minute and then get into action, because it's the action that's going to allow you to connect to the result.
I'll never forget my freshman year of college football. I was standing on the sideline in one of the very first practices, watching some of the more experienced players out tossing a ball around. One of the coaches walked past me and he said, hey, don't stand on the sidelines too long or you'll start thinking you belong there. I've never forgotten that. My friend, get off the sideline and get in the game.
It's time to start living the life you imagined. Henry James said it, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's your turn. You have made correct choices to get to this moment, and now it's time to step up and start living. Let's you and I take action together right now. Grab your workbook or some paper and write down the action you have neglected to take, but will commit to taking today. Tell yourself you will not just talk about success anymore. You are now going to live it. And people around you will see you living it by the actions you take every day, every day. Too many modern self-help programs want people to believe all they have to do is think positive thoughts and success will find them. Not true. Or perhaps I should say half true. Positive thoughts must precede the action, but there has got to be action. So your first of many great actions is to write down and commit to a list of actions you will make today that will step you closer to the life you want to live. As always, watch this video over and over, and I'll see you very soon with the next ingredient in this success formula.
Show me any truly successful person, and I will point out his or her team. There is no exception to this that I or anyone I know has ever been able to find. Life is truly a team sport. That includes work and personal life. Being a successful spouse and parent requires a team effort, and being successful in this business requires a great team.
What I like about
Es ist
Newskin and I
21
like about
Uhr.
all the distributors is that we're in this together. Together is a very important word because we've got to work together. Now, at the end of the day, there will be people that want to go it by themselves, and that's fine. You respect everybody's individual choices, but the power of Newskin is the collective action, the fact that we can all move forward towards a common vision.
Everyone have their handicaps and the shortcomings. And if the people as a team and everyone don't need to make up their weakness, but they compensate each other, so the team become very strong.
自分のグループっていう感覚は全くないんですね、チームでやってると。そして僕が得意な部分は僕はやるし、ダウンラインの得意な部分はその方がやるし、アップラインに力を貸してもらうこともあるし、チームでやっている。そして一つになって、同じ方向に向いているということでね、動いていると思います。ですから、自分がリーダーなんだっていう気持ちは持ってるんですけども、そうじゃなくって自分の役目に一生懸命やる。できることはできる、できないことはできない、それをはっきりするってことですね。それと自分の、タイトルアップだとか、表彰っていうのは意外と感動しなかったですね。それよりもグループの方がタイトルアップしたり表彰される時の感動は数十倍僕は感動しました。
The teamwork is all of the people working together toward whatever goals they have. Now, of course, the goals have to be that which helps the rest of the team. And that's part of what is so marvelous in the network marketing concept as it's spelled out in the sales compensation plan with NSE. It's a team effort. As you help the people in all of your levels deep, you're helping yourself. But that just comes as a byproduct of the teamwork of teaching your first level to teach your second level what to do, so that then the second level can teach the third level of what to do, and all the way down to the sixth and even the seventh level, which you can get paid on in this business.
一人はね、一人の力しか出ないと思うんですよ。でもそれをチームでやると、みんなの力が働きますから得するんですね。だからなんかその自分自身で一人でやらないといけないと思う人もいるんですけれども、それよりも近道よりも遠回りやけれども近道よということで、みんなの応援もらった方が得だから、みんなで活用しましょうよと思ってます。
Team begins at home.
when I first got involved in this business, I sat down with Giselle and the children and made an agreement that I would be putting a few hours a week into this business. So our initial team began at home. I encouraged the children to participate in goal setting.
My suggestion to anyone, wherever you are, whatever stage in life you're at, is value your relationships and particularly nurture those relationships that you have with quality people who have ambition and who are building their personal skills so that they're ready to meet the future. Because those people sometimes will be a transporter to your own career, and sometimes will be a life raft to your own career.
I think our uplines play an important role in our company and in the lives of each individual distributor. And it has to do with not making the same mistakes that have already been made. A lot of education comes through experience. People who have been involved in the business, in our company, in Nu Skin, have gone through a lot. If there are mistakes to be made, often they've made them. And their greatest satisfaction is helping make sure that new distributors who come into our business don't have to go through the same thing. So listening to them, understanding, learning from their experience and benefiting from that experience goes a long way to creating a successful distributor.
I think one thing that impressed me very much with Nu Skin Company is the Nu Skin's culture and spirit of supporting distributor at any length. And so whenever I would tell a new distributor, if you run into a problem that your upline cannot help you, always go to the corporate, their staff who are ready and able, willing to help. And usually problem can be resolved that way.
チームワークの重要性というのはうまくいってる時は非常にいいんですけれども、万が一その落ち込んだ場合、そういう時には本当にその周りの人の手助け、その影響力、これによってまたその落ち込んだ時のパワーの充電というものが可能になってきます。
You understand the power of one is one, but the power of many is endless. There is no infinite number to many. It goes on and on. And that's what we have to capture the idea of when we work as a team. And that goes sideline as well, if it's possible. If it's possible to help a sideline, like when we first started in the business in the San Francisco Bay Area, we had 5 or 6 sidelines come to the meeting. Well, hey, that was a wonderful team. We used to have many hundreds of people come to the meetings, and it wasn't because Connie and I had a big downline, which we did, but it's because, think of this, if you have 25 people come to a meeting, how exciting is it? But if you have 500 come to a meeting, it's a lot more exciting. And that teamwork between cross lines then just literally accelerates the results, because people come in and say, whoa, there's a lot of people here. I better catch what I may be missing here.
このビジネスにおいて、チームワークっていうかやっぱり仲間ってすごく大事ですよね。で大きな目標に向かって、人生を成功させるために、人生を変えるためにこのビジネスをやるわけですけど、その時に人間ってみんな一人弱いんですよね。強い人もいるけどもやっぱり弱い。だけどね、どんな強い人でも弱い人でもグループが一緒になることによって、なんかこう人のことをちょっと気にするから助けようとか、あいつに負けたくないなとかね、仲間でありながらあいつに負けたくないなとか、助けてあげたいなっていう、そういう別の気持ちが出てくるから、自分一人のパワーよりももっとすごく強くなれる。だから僕は絶対的にチームっていうのは一人のね力よりも、多くの人間のその小さな力のね積み重ね。1% の人がいっぱい集まった 100%、1000% とかの方が絶対強いから、そんな風にやっていくとこのビジネスも成功できるし、で何よりも楽しいからね、一人でやるより。
My business life has been characterized by close relationships with other talented people who I have been able to work with to accomplish more than I certainly ever could do on my own. In in college, I made a friend who I hung around with mostly because he was funny. It wasn't until later that I learned that he was also wise, Blake Roney. Blake is a fun guy, and he's a wise guy. And it turns out he also has a very keen business mind and has a very clear vision about what it takes to be successful financially and to run a business. Well, I didn't know the first things about him, but I knew he was a good, decent person who was a lot of fun to be around. By keeping that relationship healthy later on in my life, it turns out that the greatest business opportunity of my life came into being. Truman Hunt and I were friends. Truman knew Blake before he knew me. I met Truman through Blake. We became friends. We went different directions, went to different law schools, but years later, because that friendship was there, a very, very important to me relationship turned into a business relationship too, that has allowed me collectively with Truman and with Blake and I could go on, Sandy and many others have allowed me to accomplish things that I could never do on my own.
Actually, I remember in the early days when we joined Nu Skin, that's in 1988. The company is relatively small. And at the time, we only have the U.S. market, but U.S. is a large country. So I think a very unique culture for Nu Skin that I think is quite different from any other company is the spirit of cooperation. People from different lines work together, helping each other. And I think that's really a key factor of why we become successful today.
It's the individual that's going to make it really happen for themselves, but it's that whole feeling of we are on track to become the most distinguished network marketing company in the world. We're on track to feed hungry children. We're on track to be a force for good in the world. Our ability to do it is through the team effort. That's why we have, let's say, the convention, the global conventions. That's why we have fly-ins. That's why we have all of those opportunities for people to get together with like-minded individuals that are set on positive tracks and encouraging them.
Because some days you say, I'm done. That's it. I can't do this, I mean, I had this great person going and they quit. And you get depressed or you get discouraged, and that's when it's nice to have another team member, another person you're working with, a sideline distributor, a cross line, an upline, a downline, somebody who you can talk to that kind of says, wait a minute, it's not the end of the world. That's just one person. And you're going to keep proceeding because your success in this company is never going to be based on one person. It's going to be based on a lot of people over a long period of time. And as long as you understand that and you're willing to keep after it and keep working, then you're going to do fantastic.
Attitudes are contagious. This can work to our demise as well as our benefit. If someone had the flu, you wouldn't go hang around them. Why? Because you would get the flu. However, if you want to be happy and successful, then hang around happy, successful people. Soak it all in, because you'll catch that bug too.
And if there is someone that is speaking negatively, walk away. They sap your energy. There's no reason to listen to it. It's not wanting to shelter yourself from anything that could be negative. It's simply saying, I don't need it. I need to hear positive things. I don't need to hear so-and-so and so-and-so. I need positive information. And it's out there. And if a conversation sort of goes a little negative, it's your responsibility to say, yes, that might be true, but have we thought of it this way? Can we change this? Oh, so-and-so didn't come to the meeting to, how are we going to get 10 people to the next one? And that is most likely to happen with team energy and support. And if you don't know how to do it, ask somebody else how they did it. Because people like to share the good news.
I was 53 when I started in this business. And I already had a career. I was a decorator. And I loved it. That was my passion. And I didn't think that anything else could ever take its place until I started traveling with Dave. And the people are absolutely amazing people. And just being around positive thinking people that have goals, people that want to make something out of their lives and other people's lives. And my passion, I think, is to help people to see that and to find that and to and really go for it.
I tell people to remember that this is a team effort. I've always perceived my position as a position of representing the distributors to the company and the company to the distributors. You cannot tear either one down, or it all comes down. You have to keep everything as strong as you possibly can to build the team. People have to recognize where gratitude and be grateful for the opportunity, for the company, for their upline, for their downline, and recognize that they are no better than they are as part of the team.
If you have negative influences in your life, you know, whether people who you surround yourself are constantly trying to bring you down to their level, then you know what? You need to make some hard decisions about who you're going to associate with. You associate with people who have positive attitudes. You read books, you attend meetings where people are positive about, not only about this business, but just about life in general.
I think one of the consistent principles that we have in our company is to stay away from people who aren't good. They don't help our business. They won't help you. And long term, we don't want them to be part of our company. They detract from our mission. They are inconsistent with our values, and they won't help us succeed, and they won't help individuals succeed.
Blake is famous for many things. One of his famous quotes, though, is "Don't sponsor unpleasant people." That statement has a lot of wisdom in it, because you can be pulled down by people who don't share your vision or who are difficult to be around. But they also rub off on you, and their unpleasantness and their negativity sometimes can be incorporated into your own personality. The good news is that personality traits are contagious, and by keeping yourself happy and vibrant and positive and looking forward, you can lift the people around you. Sometimes we get married and we'll have a spouse who simply doesn't share the vision that we have. That isn't fatal, because we grow up together in relationships. But it's something that can't be ignored either. You can't just say, well, he can be negative if he wants to, but I'm going to continue to go forward. You need to work on those issues and help them to see the joy that you're finding in a business and the positive things that are coming to you because of what you're doing. And your enthusiasm over time will chip away at your spouse. We have distributors in this business whose husbands or wives, and I can think of examples on both sides of that equation, were hostile to them coming into the business. Didn't think it was something that was worthy of them, didn't understand the business, felt that it was, a problem for whatever reason. And then flash forward 5 years, and it's that spouse that started out antagonistically, who now is the chief cheerleader and is on the stage and is doing a lot of good. Go to a Nu Skin convention and watch people walk across the stage, and I will be able to point out to you a number of people who that's happened, where the positive spouse has ended up literally changing the life and personality of their spouse in a positive way because of the skills that they nurtured here in this business.
There's not little areas or little pockets of negativity. It's people in general are skeptical of something that sounds too good to be true. And sometimes we sound too good to be true because we have great products, great opportunity, and a company with a great heart. And people like to think that that's not possible. But I say it is possible, and we have a reflection of that in our company, in our products, and in our opportunity. And there's going to be skepticism no matter what. But it's your opportunity and job to turn that into a positive thought.
In terms of your success team, surround yourself with people who you can learn from, people who have experience. And once you learn, then be willing to pass that knowledge on to others. Also, share your goals with people who believe in you and will support you. It'll do you no good to share your goals with people who will rain on your parade, who could potentially cause you to doubt yourself.
You know, we all go, I would like a coach, I would like a trainer, I would like a teacher. Whenever you think of starting something new, you look for someone that has more information. And when you sponsor someone into the business, they're doing the same thing. They're looking to you and saying, what do you know and how can you help me? And in order for you to know and help, you have to have the information and the ability. So believe in yourself, and then you'll be able to create other leaders.
And upline are the one who came into the business first. And this business is actually very simple. We need to keep it very simple. And most of the people actually encounter very similar challenges and difficulties. The upline are the ones, who went through those things before already. And they can pass on very good experience, a summary of the results from their past experiences of overcoming all those challenges. So being a downline, the easiest thing is, they already, follow the upline, the path that they went through. They would, share with you their experiences of overcoming.
Everyone knows that nobody can do the business for you. So the key is you reach out to the people you know and learn from them. If you're determined enough, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to wait around for some absent parent to come back and become this good parent. Just be grateful for your birth and reach out and see what it's going to take to get where you're going to go.
To me, a great leader is one that has a thirst for knowledge. It's important to always continue to grow. You never know enough in order to succeed. But also a great leader takes that knowledge and helps their downline succeed as well. To me, a great leader doesn't say, let's go. A great leader says, walk with me. Help me go forward together. Help us see that vision together.
What keeps John and I glued to this business, if you want to call it that, is that this vehicle allows us in some way to help people help themselves. And there's magic when you know you had something to do with the betterment of that person. Of course, I don't claim that I made them better because I know better than that. But it's about helping them help themselves. And when that happens, there's no stopping. You don't want to quit that.
Building a successful team means you will need a good leader, and you will need to be a good leader, usually at the same time. As you and the people around you practice the success formula in your life, most of this will come almost naturally to you. We are often asked, how does one become a good leader? Well, Goethe taught that if you treat people as if they were what they ought to be, you help them become what they are capable of being. I would add to that by saying that while you are doing that for someone, you yourself are then growing and becoming more. It is a marvelous circle to be caught up in.
There's another saying is a good leader has to be a good follower first. Only after you follow, then you know how to lead. Because when you follow, you really know, what are there so that you can, learn how to improve.
Well, that's the purpose of being a good leader. You've got to unlock the potential of the other people. If you can unlock the potential of your downline, you've just built a strong and powerful organization.
You want the people to follow the way that you did because you really, went through all those challenges as well. So you want them to be faster and to follow the same way that you do. But if you are not following if you're not following your upline, how will your downline following you as the upline?
There is immeasurable benefit that comes when upline leaders support downline efforts to the fullest extent. Downline executives know whether an upline leader really cares about them or not. And even at a corporate level, when a manager truly cares for his or her people, those people are going to do things that ordinarily they wouldn't do when they know that their upline manager cares about them personally and is interested in their success.
You want to be the kind of leader that other people want to follow. And in order to become that, you have to become that. It has to be part of your soul. It has to be part of your spirit. People know when you care about them. You can't fake that. You have to say, I care about you and I want you to be successful. And then help them do that. And part of that is taking and making yourself the best you can be, because they'll want to follow someone that has those traits, that has traits perhaps that they're missing, or virtues that they haven't seen in themselves that they want to develop. They want to hang out with you because they say, oh, you know, she's all these things and she's got this positive attitude. Maybe a little bit of it will rub off on me. And that is why people seek out leaders. They want to rub elbows or with them because they think that some of it will rub off. I don't think that they're expecting actually success to rub off. I think it's the spirit of being around them that's contagious.
You know, and when you work with the organization, you know, it's not about your authority. You can only inspire them, but not to instruct them. So how will you inspire them? It's really about, you know, how you walk your talk. You can talk all the time, but are you leading, you know, by example? Are you really doing the things that you tell them to do, or you try to, you know, inspire them to do? It's about what you do. You know, you must walk your talk rather than just, you know, talk. You know, be a walker, not a talker.
And then you have your problems, you have your ups, you have your downs. And that is how the progression takes place. And as in raising children, you help them by encouragement, by strengthening their strengths for the next step and the next step and the next step. But you want them to learn to do it themselves. It's not doing it for them. You can't build this business for somebody. Nobody wants a manager. Nobody wants a boss. They want a leader that is willing to be in the trenches with them to show them the way by being there just like a parent would be until they are on their own and they can show their people the same direction. And it's never, okay, now we're through here, now you can do this. It's always this continuous journey, and as your kids get older, there's other levels of this support that you give them. It's the same way in this business.
What you need to do is to work as a team. Work with your upline to learn from your upline and duplicate that and teach your downlines. And be patient, be persistent, have a positive outlook. Your attitude, I think, is very, very important in this business. And in the end, I think it's leadership. How? So everybody started with different background. In the end, I think if you look at all the successful Blue Diamonds in the company, they all bring their special talent, which is different for each individual. But in the end, I think it's how they work and interact and lead the group.
I'm not exactly sure who Weiland is, but I love this quote of his. There are two types of people, anchors and motors. You want to lose the anchors and get with the motors because the motors are going somewhere and they're having fun. The anchors will just drag you down. Truer words were never spoken. First, make certain that you are a motor and not an anchor in the life of others. Then I believe it's so important that you carefully surround yourself with people that are motors. As you watch this video, you met many of the people whom I consider key players on my personal team. These people have helped me accomplish a lot in my life, and I know I could not have done much without them. If I could share a single piece of advice with you on this topic, it would be this. Be the type of person that attracts the type of people you want to be around. It all begins with you, but it all depends on the team you create. Go to your workbook or simply jot down the people on your team whom you most admire and then emulate them. Then I'd like you to jot down some other people you know and admire that are not yet on your team. What do you need to do to get them on your team? Tune out your critics and turn up the volume on your supporters. Life is a team sport. See you again real soon with the next ingredient in the success formula.